In the news this week, losing Easter, we ask, is faith still part of Australian festivities?
Toy gun drama, a 4-hour Applecross Siege leads to loud bangs and arrests.
Think of the future, unemployed youths advised to consider their options after JobSeeker and JobKeeper Ends.
Unveiled WA's new Metronet C train in Yagan Square, plus Dr Andrew Miller's comment.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening and happy Easter to you. Young people have no understanding of what Easter really means, says Australian Christians Lobby WA Director Peter Abetz. We celebrate with chocolate, trips down south and holiday greetings from politicians. But are we losing the Christian message of our major holidays? Helene Fong reports.
To many, it's just another long weekend holiday. But to people with a Christian faith, Easter is one of the most spiritually significant days in the calendar. Director of the Australian Christian Lobby in WA, Peter Abetz, says many people don't understand the full significance of the holiday.
It's true that many young people have no understanding of what Easter is about, even Christmas, but Good Friday and Easter are actually the two most critical historical events in the Christian faith. Good Friday is celebrated because that's when Jesus Christ was crucified, and the significance of that is that he paid for the penalty that we deserved for our wrongdoing, and when he died on the cross he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He took on the God forsakenness that we deserved for our wrongdoing, and he rose again on the Easter Sunday, which was God's way of saying, I've accepted your payment, and so that allows us to be free to be in a living relationship with God.
Peter says understanding of where our traditions come from should be part of our celebrations.
If we celebrate a holiday, we should actually understand what it's about. Like we celebrate Anzac Day, not just as a day off, but hey, that is to remember those who died and fought in the wars and the sacrifices they made. And Western civilization has been very largely shaped by the Christian faith. Christian values undergird our institutions. A lot of things that we kind of think are just normal are actually uniquely Christian.
Helene Fong, WAMN News.
WA Police's top unit, the Tactical Response Group, were deployed this week to an armed robbery turned siege in Applecross.
The 4-hour standoff ended peacefully when the alleged offender was subdued by beanbag rounds and taken into custody.
A toy gun was at the centre of a 4-hour siege in Applecross this week, as police were locked in a tense standoff with a man who tried to rob a pharmacy in Ardross. The Tactical Response Group was quickly called to the scene on Thursday at 4:30 when the man walked into pharmacy 777 on Canning Highway and threatened the staff with a knife.
He was there to obtain prescription medication, so heavy-duty painkillers. But as far as what was said, how it was said and what threats were put on staff, that's going to be part of our investigation.
The standoff continued until 8:45 when the man left the pharmacy and was subdued by police officers in beanbag rounds.
PRG operators to come out of the building and essentially surrender himself. He failed to comply with those, so all distraction devices and less than lethal force was used to take him into custody.
After the siege ended, 2 young women in the area handed in what appears to be a bullet to police forensics, but police say the man's weapon was just a toy.
Young people are being advised to consider their options for the future following the end of JobKeeper and the JobSeeker supplement. The payments ended this week, with young people set to be impacted by job losses and smaller welfare payments. Nelson Liu spoke with financial planner Elson Goh.
Elson, JobKeeper has officially ended and so have JobSeeker supplements. So what does this mean for young people?
If you look at the latest employment figures, Australia is sitting at about 5.8%. And WA is sitting about 6%, so unemployment rate, which is fairly low given the economic situation that we are in at the moment. And if you look at the recent job figures that have come out, there are quite a few sectors that are still demanding workers. So you can see that even though we are experiencing, especially in the eastern states, some impact in terms of the pandemic, in WA it's a slightly different story.
Is WA doing better than the eastern states at the moment, and how is the state coming out on top?
So you can see that in WA we are largely a mining state. And you can see the commodity prices have gone up quite a fair bit. In fact, the commodity prices are on par with what we've had in 2010. This will obviously generate a few demand in that sector, and there will be jobs opening in that area. If you look at WA, because we don't have a huge outbreak in the pandemic, there are quite a few industries that are still thriving and they're still going on. The big areas that has been reported in terms of the high demand areas are things like your mining, your health, trades and services, manufacturing and transports, and obviously hospitality. So these are the areas that are still demanding workers and employees.
How can young unemployed people, as well as those who might lose their jobs, combat the problem?
I think young people should be flexible in terms of where they find their employment, because there are actually a lot of opportunities out there, but perhaps not in the typical areas that they have been trained in or they have or they expect to work in. So yeah, the bottom line is, if they are willing to try out other areas, perhaps take up a trade, or take this period of uncertainty as a time for them to upskill, I think this is a good opportunity.
Young people are also facing a housing boom and concerns about renting as well. So what would that mean for young people?
Now, the moratorium has caused a huge disruption in the market, whilst it provided a good safety net for renters. You have to understand that on the other side of the coin, the landlords are unable to move on. So we've got people who have returned from overseas or interstates, and they can't move into their own homes because of the fact that the tenants are not allowed to be kicked out. So I think in this instance, you'll find that this will probably free up a lot of the pent-up demand that we have, and hopefully we can go back to a bit of a normality.
The man accused of murdering Hayley Dodd in 1999 has been urged to reveal the burial location of the 17-year-old after he was acquitted of her murder. A jury this week found 65-year-old Francis Walker not guilty of Dodd's murder, but guilty of manslaughter. Premier Mark McGowan said the Dodd family's ordeal isn't over and urged Mr. Walker to do the right thing.
I know the Dodd family very well. They've been through an extraordinary ordeal, but their ordeal is not over. This gentleman needs to tell the family where their daughter is buried, and we put in place laws to actually encourage him to do so. The no body, no parole laws are there.
A level crossing in Kelmscott is being removed to fix road congestion problems in the suburb. The Denny Avenue crossing closed to remove bottlenecking and boost pedestrian, cyclist and driver safety. It's replaced by a new rail over road underpass as part of the Metronet project. The bells have rung for the last time at the intersection, and the state government says removing the crossing will improve quality of travel in the area.
We're about to make this into a rail over road location where you no longer have boom gates, and it'll mean that congestion problems are removed. Each and every day people here are blocked up for more than 3 hours, so that will remove that impediment to traffic and ensure that congestion problems are fixed here.
A teenager has been arrested in a stolen car following a police chase in Perth's southern suburbs during the week. Police attempted to stop the 19-year-old man on Kwinana Freeway in a Honda Accord just before midnight and used a tyre deflation device. The car stopped in the southbound lane in Wellard. He was taken into custody and charged with several offences, including reckless driving to escape pursuit by police, stealing a motor vehicle and no authority to drive. He will appear in the Rockingham Magistrates Court on the 30th of April 2021.
More charges have been laid against Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi by the military government after the democratically elected government was overthrown in February. The newest charges include allegedly breaching secret laws and coronavirus measures. Ms. Suu Kyi's lawyer said she is in good health as she faces numerous charges, with the possibility of 14 years in prison. US President Joe Biden plans to go against the rise of China with an infrastructure project worth more than $2 trillion. The ambitious plans have been met with strong resistance, with a bipartisan division over how much the administration should spend on its programs. The plan also includes the increase of corporate taxes from 21 to 28% and closing tax loopholes to avoid companies moving their profits overseas.
There's lots to do in the city over the long weekend, and if you're finding yourself at a loose end, it might be worth popping over to Yagan Square to get a look at the future of Perth's public transport. Yagan Square is now hosting a full-size model exhibition of the new C-Series railcar that will carry Metronet commuters when the transport project is complete. Entry for the sneak peek at the new train is free, and the attraction will be at Yagan Square until April 18th.
I would just say the comfiness of the seats. The upholstery is quite nice.
Yeah, I like the USBs under the seats. I like the removal of the poles in the middle because it's quite inconvenient.
The new 6-car rail set will have more capacity, so 20% more capacity for passengers. There'll be extra doors, a new set of extra doors. So that means that we'll get people on and off the trains faster, and that of course supports things like our travel to the Optus Stadium.
You must have been in heaven with the chance to see that train, Ivan.
And you know I want to drive it home.
I know you do. And now here is Australian Medical Association WA President Dr. Andrew Miller with his COVID-19 commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. Coronavirus this week in Western Australia, the vaccine program continues to basically limp along very slowly. Unfortunately, averaging about the same as last week, about 1,700 vaccinations a day. And we need to be hitting about 12,000 a day, nearly 10 times that amount, in order to vaccinate the adult population just once in 6 months. And of course, we then have to give everybody a second dose. So we're well short of where we need to be with this program, and I'm really hopeful that the supply will ramp up quickly. In terms of the AstraZeneca virus, there's been this question of a very rare complication of strange blood clots combined with low platelet count, and now one case reported in Australia. And obviously that doesn't change much because we knew that this was happening overseas. But there may be certain individuals who have had blood clotting issues in the past for whom that's an issue, or somebody who it's a great concern to. You need to speak to your doctor before proceeding with either of the vaccines at this stage due to that complication. In terms of illness, fortunately very little in Australia thanks to border control, not forgetting that we still have a lot of stranded Australians overseas, up to 40,000, who want to come home, who do not yet have the ability to do so because of our lack of expansion of quarantine, so we need to get on with that. Airborne protection for COVID, still very contentious with the outbreak in Queensland, obviously having infected 3 healthcare workers up there because of inadequate ventilation and PPE. They try to blame these things on the workers. It's not their fault. They're given inadequate workplace safety. And this is one of the reasons we can't throw our borders open and just try and live with this virus because it will spread rampantly due to lack of airborne protections in aged care, healthcare and elsewhere in the community. One gentleman, a returned traveller in South Australia, unfortunately now very ill, and a reminder that this disease does kill if we needed one. Just looking at what's happening overseas is just very distressing. Italy entering another lockdown, 20,000 new cases a day. On the good news side, the Americans are under their new president, showing how if you do get organised or pull in the right direction, you can start to get things done. The last 7 days, more than 20 million vaccinations. 20 million, almost our entire population in 1 week. So they've realised, I think, that they're a failure in terms of their controls through lockdown and contact tracing, and that they really need to get that vaccine out in a very rapid manner. So hopefully Australia will take a leaf out of their book sometime soon, and we'll get a lot more vaccinations done. So for those of you who are in the eligible 1B group, up to 6 million Australians, get online, have a look at your local GP or GP respiratory clinics and see if you can get yourself an appointment. Thanks for your time.
And now here's Leo with what's coming up on 6 News.
Tonight on 6 News, breaking news, dozens of people killed in Myanmar. Tensions at an all-time high right now, over 500 confirmed dead, including children. And there's now mounting pressure on international governments to act. Plus, George Floyd's girlfriend breaks down in tears as the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin continues, with never-before-seen body cam footage now released amid ongoing concerns about more violence across America. And a geologist has been beaten up by what he described as the angriest octopus while swimming on holidays at a Western Australia beach. We'll show you the extraordinary video. We're still here on a public holiday, and you can see full details on those stories and plenty more by heading to our YouTube channel. Just search 6 News Australia. For now though, guys, it's back to you.
Thanks, Leo. Now that's our program for this week. Western Perspective will return next week. For the latest, please go to our website, wamnnews.com.au.
From Sarah and myself, we wish you a happy Easter, good health, and see you again next Sunday.
Thanks for stopping by.